Really? How long should it take a lender to close a loan?
30 days, 60 days, 90 days.
Agents, aren't you tired of lenders and those broken promises holding up your check and your closing? With rates as low as 4.25%, go from 6% to 4.25% and save $200 or more with the new FHA Streamline product.
No hassle, no fuss. Get a $500 rebate for refis and purchases.
It's called Temple Mortgage, 757-567-6700.
Hi, this is Boyce of Temple Mortgage. Today, unfortunately, we're going to talk about a subject that's a little uncomfortable, that subject being divorce. In this country, there are about 55% of all marriages do end in divorce. So I know you're probably wondering, well, why is he talking about divorce? What is the purpose of this broadcast today? The purpose of this pod presentation is to discuss property settlement, the resolution, the dissolution of the marriage, unfortunately, and now the resolution of your principal asset, that being your property. Attorneys are depending on one pivotal thing, that you will get into a knockdown, drag-out fight. The more you fight, the more their fees accelerate, thus the more they make. The cost of a no-contest divorce is about $1,500. The cost of a contested divorce can start at about $5,500 and wind up in the $8,000 to $10,000, depending on how much you fight and how much you have to fight about. So let's remove some objects off the table. Let's lift the property off the table. The Bible says to do all things decent and in order. Come to me. I have a battery of real estate attorneys. We can draw up the deeds. We sit down, we'll talk about it, we'll pray about it, we'll reason about it together. We'll decide, the two of you will decide what's reasonable. The law is already put in place. They're about 50% of the available equity. So now, what's the next issue? Who's going to keep the house? Who can afford to keep the house? Once we've decided that, or you've decided amongst yourselves, I can do a cash out refinance, have the deed drawn in advance, wife gets her settlement, husband gets his settlement, and thus that matter is over. So give me a call. I know it's going to be a hard decision, but if you are at that decision, there's no need to make the attorneys rich. I pray of all things that you stay married, but if you cannot, let's do it decently and in order. Hi, this is Boyce of Temple Mortgage. Today, unfortunately, we're going to talk about a subject that's a little uncomfortable, that subject being divorce. In this country, there are about 55% of all marriages do end in divorce. So I know you're probably wondering, well, why is he talking about divorce? What is the purpose of this broadcast today? The purpose of this pod presentation is to discuss property settlement, the resolution, the dissolution of the marriage, unfortunately, and now the resolution of your principal asset, that being your property. Attorneys are depending on one pivotal thing, that you will get into a knockdown, drag-out fight. The more you fight, the more their fees accelerate, thus the more they make. The cost of a no-contest divorce is about $1,500. The cost of a contested divorce can start at about $5,500 and wind up in the $8,000 to $10,000, depending on how much you fight and how much you have to fight about. So let's remove some objects off the table. Let's lift the property off the table. The Bible says to do all things decent and in order. Come to me. I have a battery of real estate attorneys. We can draw up the deeds. We sit down, we'll talk about it, we'll pray about it, we'll reason about it together. We'll decide, the two of you will decide what's reasonable. The law is already put in place. They're about 50% of the available equity. So now, what's the next issue? Who's going to keep the house? Who can afford to keep the house? Once we've decided that, or you've decided amongst yourselves, I can do a cash out refinance, have the deed drawn in advance, wife gets her settlement, husband gets his settlement, and thus that matter is over. So give me a call. I know it's going to be a hard decision, but if you are at that decision, there's no need to make the attorneys rich. I pray of all things that you stay married, but if you cannot, let's do it decently and in order. This is Boyce of Temple Mortgage. Today, we're going to discuss the subject of divorce, most specifically, property settlement. Some of you have been unable to resolve this matter of the property settlement because of the credit score of the primary note holder, whether it be the husband or the wife. What has happened in so many instances that your credit scores have fallen. The court has mandated that you pay off the spouse, whether it be husband or wife. The lawyer has instructed you to go to a mortgage company, or maybe he suggested a mortgage company or bank, and said you need to do a refinance, cash out refinance, and pay off the spouse. However, when they pulled your credit, they discovered that your credit score was less than a 630, 640, and they were unable to do the mortgage. Not because the mortgage couldn't be done, but because they were unable to execute a mortgage with your current credit score. give me a call. Call me, 757-490-2450, 757-490-2450, and give us an opportunity to refinance your house, pay off the spouse, and thus walk away with some of your equity still intact. We can do credit scores down to 580, some instances 540, and even in some instances less than that if you have lots of equity. I have a battery of hard money lenders that we can use to pay the house, pay a house off, pay off the spouse, pay your credit, get it all cleaned, and you come back in 12 months and then get a nice pretty 4.75 rate.
In today's news, the stimulus package promised to give small investors access to capital. The banks got theirs, so when it came to investors, the river ran dry. Investors, do you need cash for improving or purchasing, but the banks have slammed the doors? Apartments? No. Salon? No. Commercial units? Mm-mm. Beauty parlors? No.
Call Temple Mortgage, 757-567-6700.
During the mid-2000, 2006 through 2003 to 2006, many people utilized and many brokers brokered loans to hard money lenders, companies such as Eastern Savings Bank that specialize in rates of 12% or more, but help those with great equity positions. That means if your house was worth, let's say, $100,000 and you only owed 40, therefore you'd be in a 40% equity position. But the trade-off for that, even though you got the cash out, was a huge interest rate, typically starting at about 13%. This is an excellent opportunity to refinance now and take advantage of today's low rates. I've realized people saving as much as $700 by simply going from 14%, which is not a simple move, down to 6%. So that's something a lot of people don't know that they can do. Many people have 14% interest rates and went to companies such as Eastern Savings Bank, which specialize in doing loans for people with a lot of equity, but at that time challenged credit. Many of you have taken them equity out, paid off the debt, but still find yourself paying a mortgage payment of there about $2,000 when you should be paying one of possibly $1,200, paying 14 to 15% when you could have a mortgage of there about 6%. Because you have a 600 credit score or less, many lenders have told you that they are unable to execute your loan. Well, guess what? Help has now come to your house. Salvation has come to your house tonight. I can do loans with 600 credit scores down to a 540 credit score for those who want to simply do a rate and term refinance. That means no cash out, but to change the rate, lower the rate, and the term. You can keep a 30-year or you could switch to a 15. Many of you would find at your present interest rate that you could switch to a 10-year and still have a lower payment and pay your house off. Often people come to me who wish to buy homes, their first home or potentially their second home. And they wonder why, or they're concerned as to why their credit score will stay slightly below that necessary 630, 620 credit limit or higher as imposed by the banks. But remember, I can do down to 620s. All right. Now, one possible reason is that your high credit balance, should never be more than 30% of your high credit limit. Your balance should never be more than 30% of your high credit limit with regard to revolving charge accounts or revolving accounts. That means your JCPenney, your MasterCard, your Visa, what have you. Certainly you can't do anything about your auto or your home or your student loan. But if you have a credit card, gas card, any kind of charge, and your high credit limit is $1,000, you should not be over $300. That would be 30% of $1,000. So pay down your high credit limits, and I promise you, you will see your score increase. That's another tip. Call me, I'll show you how, I'll get you in the house of your dreams, we'll get it done. People believe with regard to credit reports that if they pay out their judgments and their collections that their credit score will increase. Well, unfortunately, I have to tell you, that will not increase your credit score. Why? Because as I've had many conversations with Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax representatives, they've constantly informed me that the damage has already been done. However, underwriting will not allow you to proceed with open judgments and collections. Underwriting will not allow you to proceed with open judgments and collections. But the fallacy, and many people go to credit, so-called enhancement or credit repair agencies that say they can fix your credit. Really? And they charge people $700, $800, or they'll put you on a monthly plan of about $70, $80 a month. Guess what? At the end of the day, they say to keep reporting it and trying to get the creditor or making the creditor take it off. But in about 6 months or less, you're going to see it again. So the way to keep a good credit score, A, is to not have judgments, collections, or charge-offs. There's no magic trick, there's no magic wand. And the $700 that you're spending to give to a credit enhancement agency, you could spend to clean up and correct your credit. So keep your money in your pocket. Owe no man anything. Remember what the word said, except love. Do the best you can. Pay off your judgments and collections.
5 months to get a loan done? Instead of quicken, they should be sickened. Call Temple Mortgage for fast turnaround. We're local, dependable, and we answer the phone. 567-6700. 567-6700.
Hi, this is Renard Boyce. Today, I want to discuss tax liens. That's right, state and federal tax liens. Many of you are in jeopardy of losing your homes because you have either a state or a federal tax lien. Let's discuss the state tax lien for a second. That's when you owe the municipality, the city, real estate taxes that are past due that you haven't paid. And many of you have homes that are paid for or nearly paid for with great equity. That means thousands of dollars in potential value. Money that you can tap into if you simply refinance, that you're in jeopardy of losing this property because you have a tax lien. Well, why haven't you refinanced and paid it off? Maybe because your credit score is too low. That's probably the reason. Well, guess what? At Temple Mortgage, we can do scores down to a 540. If you have a 200 credit score, I even have hard money lenders that I can employ on your behalf to help you pay off that tax lien, clean up all your other credit. Now, of course, you'll have a high rate, but only for a little while. Then we'll come back, refinance you, your credit will be clean, you can have thousands of dollars in the bank that you can put in your pocket and not be in jeopardy of losing your home. Listen, don't lose your home to the state or federal government because of a tax lien. You'll be shocked how many people lose their property behind tax liens. Heir property that their parents owned and worked and slaved for, and now the city sends them a notification because the taxes haven't been paid. And many elderly just simply take the notice and throw it in the drawer because they don't know what to do and they don't know how to handle it. So we have all this property that's potentially about to be lost because people don't know that the city will take your property. They will post your house on a list. And many would-be savvy investors are on these tax sale lists. And they start going through the neighborhoods. They're looking at your house. They're getting values on your home. Now, your house is worth $185,000, $250,000. You worked for 30 years to pay for this house. You owe $10,000 or $20,000 on this house, but you have $7,500 tax lien. That means for $7,500, they can pay off that $7,500 and thus get your property. I mean, it's if your house is paid for. Now, if you owed the $20,000, they would just pay off the note on your $20,000 plus the tax lien, and thus own your home for about $35,000. Then take it, rehab it, and sell it. It's a vicious game. Don't fall into the trap.
Call Temple Mortgage, 567-6700. Well, thank you so much for tuning into the broadcast. This is Banking with R.S. Boyce, the owner of Temple Mortgage. If you need to reach me, you can call me at 567-6700. Many of you said last week I didn't get the number out enough. So that's 567-6700. Well, you've been listening to my empowering seniors moments on the radio. But one thing specifically that I want to take a change today, we want to digress a little. We're still going to talk about the seniors. We're still going to talk about the reverse mortgages, but from a different standpoint. We discussed what a reverse mortgage is. It's different from a forward motion. In other words, in a forward loan, there's forward motion where you pay the loan forward. With a reverse mortgage, it's the opposite of that. The payment comes out of the equity, so you're not physically making a payment. We also discussed that you need to be 62 years of age or older. In a reverse mortgage, the older you are, the better it is. We discussed also that there is a counseling that one must take, and we refer you to an independent counselor who's going to go over so many programs with you. So I want to do a small pictorial while I have you today, and for those on my TV viewing audience, we've already discussed what is a reverse mortgage. mortgage. It's different from a forward mortgage. You don't pay it ahead like you're currently doing now. You pay it out of the mortgage equity that you have. Now, how does it differ from a conventional loan? Well, one thing, it does not require, once again, that you make a payment. It does not require that the loan be paid off. That you make payments until the loan is paid off. How can you pay the loan off? Through selling it, or if you decide to get some sort of lump sum, pay it off, or, and unfortunately, in the event of your untimely expiration, then your heirs will refinance and pay the loan off. Now, here's the big thing that I love. With the reverse mortgage, it says, how does one qualify? Well, simply put, all you need to be is 62 years old. That's the qualification. What type of property can we do on a reverse mortgage? Anywhere from a 1-unit to a 4-family unit residence, okay? In some instances, if it's approved by HUD, we can use condominiums. We can use manufactured homes in some cases. Okay, so the greatest thing about a reverse mortgage is that you don't need any credit. That's the number one qualifier. You don't have to have a credit score to qualify. You could potentially be in foreclosure, and as long as we can do the loan before the foreclosure takes place. Is it safe? Of course. A reverse mortgage is very safe because it is backed by FHA. It is an FHA approved, a FHA sanctioned loan. Okay, so HUD is backing this loan. So we want you to feel secure, safe in terms of using your available equity to do a reverse mortgage. Of course, I'm Renard Boyce. I'm the owner of Temple Mortgage, have been executing mortgages in Tidewater, specifically in the community of the Body of Christ, for over 18 years. If you need to reach me, you can call me at 757-567-6700. I truly believe that the reverse mortgage program is a very good program, especially in today's current economic situation. We have so many seniors who are facing all types of financial limitations. We are seeing the increase in food. We're seeing the increase in gas prices. We're seeing an escalation in utility costs. We're seeing an escalation in all types of financial services. We're seeing a decrease in social service programs. We're seeing a decrease in funds to the elderly, funds to the mentally and handicapped, funds to those who are infirmed. So we have infirmed rather, and we know that when you are too old, or pardon me, when you're unable, physically unable to take care of yourself, in so many instances, if you have to go to a nursing home, unfortunately, oftentimes, all the time, Medicaid and or the nursing facility is going to take your house. They're going to take the property. They're going to make you sell it. And I was discussing this very situation with a gentleman last night who stated that in his grandmother's case, who happens to be 108 years old, God has really blessed her with longevity, they wanted her to sell the house. Listen to this now, for assessed value. I said, well, what do you mean assessed value? I know what that means, but I couldn't believe my ears. I said, are you stating that they won't let her sell it for a profit? He said, absolutely not. I said, well, when grandmother became older, and of course she's become increasingly older, why didn't you guys cash out the house or do reverse mortgage, take the money out, put a wing on the house, or have deeded the house to someone else? They never thought about that. Now here we have 30 years of labor. And I'm talking to you too specifically, all of you who've paid off your homes or in the process of paying them off. We have 30 years of labor, 30 years of mortgage payment, 30 years of blood, sweat, and tears that can just be snatched away in an instant if you're unable to pay your mortgage. And so many seniors, unfortunately, until my recent discovery, are losing their homes to foreclosure. Losing their homes to foreclosure. Now, how is this possible that seniors who have paid for properties are losing the home to foreclosure? Losing the home to foreclosure. How is this possible? Simply put, because they don't know a way out. Many people don't know that they can use the reverse mortgage, even if you have tax liens against the property, if you have our IRS liens against the property, if you're 60 or 90 days behind in your mortgage, because guess what? We don't check the credit. So the reverse mortgage can be an excellent way out. And for those of you who are 62 or older and you decide that you want to keep working, bless the Lord. Why not work? I'm doing a loan for a lady right now, a reverse mortgage, who's 70. She's very healthy, and she says, I just like to work. I'm going to stop working full-time, and I'm going to work part-time. So she'll continue to get it to receive an income, but she won't have to make a mortgage payment. So the $1,200 or more thereabout that she was paying every month, she will no longer pay, and she'll be able to keep that in her pocket. Now let's think about that. You know, she's going to have over $15,000 a year that she can put in her pocket in addition to whatever retirement, Social Security, and any other income. Because, forgot to tell you, in a reverse mortgage, it's not taxed while you're receiving the money. It's not counted as income. So there are so many reasons, 100 possibilities why you should do a reverse mortgage. Give me a call. This is Renard Boyce, the mortgage doctor. Call me at 757-567-6700. 757-567-00. All you need be is 62 years old, competent, and have the belief that this is something that will certainly benefit you. Do not lose your home to foreclosure because no one stopped by to tell you that there's a way out. There is a way out. And for so many of you, if you're not in a position to execute a reverse mortgage, tell a friend. Give me a call. If you'd like me to come to your church and perform a meeting, a seminar on reverse mortgages, call me, 757-567-6700. If you want us to come to your local synagogue, if you want us to come to a civic league, give me a call, 757-567-6700. Really doesn't matter. I'm willing to come to you because we want to lay the truth bare. And of course, I'm from Norfolk. My office is in Norfolk and also have offices located in Chesapeake. If you need me on the peninsula, give me a call. Hampton, give me a call. Newport News, give me a call. Richmond, if you're within the sound of my voice, give me a call. 757-567-6700. Thank you so much for tuning in, and watch out for my future segments. There are so many of you who have tax liens, whether it be state or federal, and that have exuberant amounts of equity in your property. I mean, you have lots of equity, but you're really risking having your house foreclosed on because of these tax liens and IRS liens. And in this current economy where state, local, and federal governments are in great need of finances and revenue, I've seen an acceleration in the amount of foreclosures and the writs being processed for repossession and or execution of collection of these monies, back due monies, whether it be tax, IRS, state, federal, local, what have you. So really, there's no need to have your property put in jeopardy because you have outstanding tax liens. I mean, it's just not intelligent, especially when you have the equity to refinance and come on out of that. So don't put your property in jeopardy. Give me a call, 757-567-6700. You know, the banks received a lot of money for the bailout, lots and lots of money. And unfortunately, that money really didn't trickle down. And things were really tight, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, from 2008 up until now. But I can truly say that I'm seeing a relaxation in the market. I'm seeing the market really starting to relax. It hasn't, gone to sleep or taken a Nytol, but I've seen a real relaxation in the market. I'm seeing some of the rules starting to lighten up, especially when I can come on the radio and talk about we can now do loans if you have a 30-day, 60-day late. I know things have loosened up, or when we have a situation where we can do loans as low as a 540 score. I'm even able now to do modular homes. For a long time, a lot of lenders would not touch a modular, but especially if it looks like it's still stick built. I've got some brothers and sisters over in the Eastern Shore I'm doing some refinances for. I just want to give you a shout out. How y'all doing over there? Give me a shout at Boyce 1963 at cox.net, or you can go on our Temple website, www.templefs.com, for much more news about all kinds of products. And I'm also doing commercial lending. I don't know if I've told you that, but we're doing commercial lending now at Temple Mortgage. Matter of fact, I'm working in conjunction with some local persons, even down here at WPCE Studios, in terms of working on some commercial loans in the community. So if you need a commercial loan, if you need your building refinance, I don't care if your credit is deplorable. You can have an F credit. If you have enough equity in that building, I can get you done. Let me repeat that. If you have enough equity in your current commercial space. Even if you have F credit, I can get you done. Now remember, F credit is going to mean F interest rate, but we can pay off your debts, get you straight, get you the cash that you need. I'm doing loans up to $5 million now. So if you have a commercial piece, don't worry about how big or how small it is. I'm doing small apartments. I did a $300,000 cash out loan for a gentleman about 6-7 months ago who was trying to do an apartment building. We began the origination of that. So if you have commercial property that you want to refinance, give me a call.
Really? How long should it take a lender to close a loan?
30 days, 60 days, 90 days.
Agents, aren't you tired of lenders and those broken promises holding up your check and your closing? With rates as low as 4.25%, go from 6% to 4.25% and save $200 or more with the new FHA Streamline product.
No hassle, no fuss. Get a $500 rebate for refis and purchases. It's called Temple Mortgage, 757-567-6700.
In today's news, the stimulus package promised to give small investors access to capital. The banks got theirs, but when it came to investors, the river ran dry. Investors, do you need cash for improving or purchasing, but the banks have slammed the doors? Apartments? No. Salon? No. Commercial units? Mm-mm. Beauty parlors? No.
It's called Temple Mortgage, 757-567-6700.
5 months to get a loan done? Instead of quicken, they should be sicken. Call Temple Mortgage for fast turnaround. We're local, dependable, and we answer the phone. 567-6700. 567-6700.
Hello, accountants. This is Boyce of Temple Mortgage. Many of your clients have tax liens, state tax liens and federal tax liens, or other issues that need to be resolved. They're unable to pay off the tax liens in many cases because they have low credit scores. Some of your clients are even elderly clients who necessarily don't want a mortgage. In those cases, we're able to execute a reverse mortgage. They can have a tax lien. They could be 6 months behind in their property, and you're still able to refinance them. But for those who have state and federal tax liens, this is a very opportune time because we know that the municipalities are accelerating the tax liens. They're accelerating the rate at which homes are being sold, and we know that the IRS is collecting at a record-breaking proportion. But those of your clients who could really use my services and help, they've gone to the bank, but the bank said they can't do them. I can do scores as low as 540 and scores as high as 850. So in whatever range you need me, give me a call. Don't let your clients lose their home to tax liens or other debts that can simply be resolved.